What do we know about how the search unfolded where you are in Pennsylvania?
Well, it's very fascinating because, first of all, he was arrested early this morning in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. And I'm in northeastern Pennsylvania, and I'm in a rural area of northeastern Pennsylvania. Albrightsville is about 8 miles away. And that is, according to the presser, that is where he lives. And they also said that this is his home, even though he's in Washington, going to school in Washington. And what we are learning, a source is confirming with CNN that the FBI out of Philadelphia had been surveilling him right in this area for 4 days. And while this was going on here in Idaho, they were actually, the FBI, the local police, Idaho State Police, they were getting together the information so that they would have the probable cause to go before a judge to get that arrest warrant. And the source tells CNN that the arrest warrant probable cause is based on DNA, his DNA being at the scene, and also that white car that we've heard so much about that was seen through some video close to the apartment at the time this was happening, that was his car. Well, once they got that arrest warrant, the criminal complaint was filed, and we heard from the press conference, it was filed yesterday. 4 counts of first-degree murder, also a burglary charge. And once that was filed, they went in this morning at 1:30 a.m. to a gated community, and they arrested him. And he is here now waiting an extradition hearing, which will be on Tuesday.
Gene, stand by. I want to bring in John Miller right now. What more can you tell us, John, about the suspect and this dramatic arrest, more than a month after these murders?
Well, Wolf, this came together really in the last few days. Once they put that FBI surveillance team on him in this rural area, that was the clear sign that we're developing this, we're moving towards that arrest, but we need to know where this suspect is, because we can't just keep developing evidence and then go look for him and find out that he's in the wind. So once they were able to, what they call, acquire him, which is we've got eyes on, we know where he is, we're developing his pattern of life, where he comes and goes. Very hard to do in a rural area where any strange beings or cars stand out to neighbors right away, which is probably why they needed so many people. But once they developed that surveillance team, that was, now we've got to dot the I's, cross the T's, and get a judge to sign off on this arrest warrant, and then get a judge here to authorize it in Pennsylvania. And then Pennsylvania State Trooper Justin Leary, executed that warrant this morning with the FBI and additional troopers, and he's in custody. But as has been pointed out by Veronica, the DNA and the car is what got them to probable cause.
Yeah, 2 major developments indeed. Andrew McCabe, the authorities at that news conference earlier today didn't give any information on any possible links the suspect may have had to these 4 victims. What questions do you have about any links and possible motive for that matter?
Well, Wolf, I mean, that's the central question I'm sure that all of us have right now. What brought this young man to that house in the middle of the night? We of course, it's not necessary to prove motive to convict someone of murder here in this country. It's not an element of the offense, but it's very helpful when you are trying to convince a jury that an individual has, as the police have said in this case, picked out or targeted these victims specifically. Jurors want to know why. What's the connection between this guy and his victims? And so that's what we're really trying to understand. It's clear that the officials in Idaho are greatly limited by their own state law and state Supreme Court rules in terms of what they can say about the investigation before he is presented before a judge in Idaho. So hopefully we'll learn more about that once they get him back to Idaho. But that is clearly the key question right now in all of our minds.
Yeah, good point. Chief Ramsey, police are still looking clearly for the murder weapon, and they're asking for the public's help with any information on the suspect. So what does that tell you?
Well, I mean, they may or may not be able to find a murder weapon. I mean, you got a 2,500-mile distance between where the murders occurred, where he was arrested. He drove. Anything could happen. But they're going to continue to look. There's no question about that. But our understanding right now is that they have DNA. They have something that shows the car in that particular area. Now that they have the car, I'm certain they'll be looking for any kind of trace evidence to see if they've got anything that, again, would link the victims of the crime, that blood evidence, which was not easy to get rid of, and that had to be a very bloody crime scene. So there's still a lot of work to be done in this particular case. But way it sounds right now, I don't think they need the murder weapon. It'd be great to get it, but I don't think they need it. I think they've got enough of a case right now to be able to move forward, but they'll continue to work as hard as they can. But I just want to commend the men and women that worked on this case. This was not an easy case to solve by any stretch of the imagination. And they stayed with it, and they were able to find the person responsible. So my hat's off to them. That is just not easy to do. People watch television and they think everything gets solved within an hour with commercial breaks, but that's not the reality of police work. So again, good job.
And you speak with a lot of experience in this area. Police chief here in Washington, the police commissioner in Philadelphia as well. John Miller, we now have these aerials over the home the suspect was living in Pennsylvania. Authorities, we know, are searching his apartment complex in Washington state as well. What will they be on alert for?
Well, what they're going to be looking for primarily is the murder weapon. That's the big prize right now, because you've got DNA at the scene, you've got his car at the scene. If you get the murder weapon, that completes the triangle. The fact that it wasn't found at the scene could suggest that he has an attachment to it, that he wanted to keep it. Would not be the first killer to keep something like that as a souvenir. That weapon itself could yield evidence, whether it's traces of DNA or blood. And they're also going to be looking for clothing, clothing that he might have worn that night that could have other evidence. So, you want to search that apartment where he lived close to the scene in Washington state. You want to get a warrant and, freeze and search this home to determine what did he bring with him that could be evidence of the crime. Obviously, a warrant for that car as well. So they're going to be looking everywhere that they know he stopped, slept, stayed, or has been to see what did he leave behind that can trace him back to that scene.
Yeah, good point. Andrew McCabe, I'm anxious to get your thoughts on this as well. What do you think?
Well, I think I agree with John's points there. I would add to that they're probably also going to be looking for any sort of evidence of connection between this suspect and the victims, and that could come in the form of internet search logs on his computer. It could come from connections that he might have had with the victims via the internet or telephone or text messages or those sorts of things. So grabbing his electronics devices during the course of all these different physical searches is going to be very important. Exploiting the information that's on there is going to be very important. And it all also goes to building that timeline, right? You want to be able to put him down in a place, at a location, conducting an activity, certainly every day following the homicide, but also as much as possible in the days leading up to the homicide. So you can paint a picture of where this guy has been and what got him to that homicide.